The volume opens with these two new villains interrogating some dude in a bookshop. Then they kill him. Cut to Beacon, where Ruby has decided that she wants to have the most fun ever at school, which is a drastic tonal shift, but I'll let it slide this time. Instead of doing anything in Ruby's big book of fun activities, Team Ruby and Team Juniper have some dumb food fight or something. Whatever, it's not important. After the food fight, they introduce Neptune, who is just awful. Cut to the villains. Cinder calls Roman a stupid idiot and revises their plan to infiltrate Beacon instead of stealing dust. This character that definitely is not Iroh from The Legend of Korra talks shit to Ozpin, and Ozpin says, "My school, my rule, shut the hell up." Later that night, Ozpin approaches Blake about her shady past, and Blake fucking lies right to his face. Upon returning home after this conversation, Blake has a mental breakdown, believing the entirety of dealing with inequality and the crime syndicates fall upon her for some reason. Ruby and Weiss go to some communication tower to call Weiss's dad, even though they carry those cell phone things on them at all times. During this outing, Ruby bumps into Penny, who's acting very distant, and she's not being giga into Ruby, which is next level alarming. Some goons see them and chase after them for no reason, and Penny catches a moving vehicle, which is extremely alarming. Penny then reveals to Ruby that she is a robot person and has a human-crafted soul. Don't question it, move along. While Weiss is making a phone call and Ruby is dealing with the earth-shattering news that humans can make souls, Yang and Neptune are off at a nightclub looking for some goons that Roman hired, and Blake and Sun are at a terrorist rally to gain information. Turns out the terrorists have mechs, and Roman is really finna pilot one right now. Team Ruby kills the mech, and then Roman escapes, again. The villains, having infiltrated Beacon, go to battle class, where Mercury, one of the three of them, volunteers to battle Pyrrha. He fights long enough to figure out her semblance, and then he forfeits, looking like a real bitch. Back at the dorm room, the girls have to give Blake an intervention because it looks like she hasn't slept in 3 months, and this villain thing is really weighing her down. It doesn't work. At all. Later on, Yang approaches Blake directly and mentions the fact that she's been dealing with the grief of parental abandonment for her entire life. Finally, someone gets through to Blake and she decides that maybe she should relax just a tiny bit and sleep like 3 hours a night. Side plot about a school dance with a bunch of relationship nonsense, and the most important takeaway is that Neptune is a fucking loser. Moving on, during the dance, Cinder goes to hack the school security system and Ruby catches her, but she gets bodied, so it doesn't matter. Later on, the school decides that these terrorist things are bad news and we gotta spread out and locate them. Each of the teams get assigned with an adult hunter, and Team Ruby gets Oobleck. Oobleck makes each of the girls question everything they thought they knew about themselves, and Ruby falls into the plot, locating the villains by complete chance. And their base of operations was located in this shady underground abandoned railroad. Also, they have a shit ton more mechs, but Oobleck smashes every single one of them like a bunch of Legos. On the train headed for Beacon, Blake fights Roman, Yang fights Harley Quinn, and Weiss fights this dude with a chainsaw. I'm not joking. Upon surfacing back at Civilization, Team Ruby is faced with like a metric assload of Grim, more than we've ever seen on screen combined. In response to this catastrophic natural disaster, there's an alarm going off that alerts both Team Juniper and Sun and Neptune, and with great haste, they show up at the scene too. With all of our protagonists now in one place, they fight the Grim. Like 3 each, maybe. And then Team Coffee, who's been on screen for maybe a grand total of 15 minutes, show up and kill every single one of them and steal all the glory. After achieving victory in combat, Team Ruby celebrates by moping around about how nothing has happened and all of the villains are still free. Contrasting this, Roman gets arrested and Cinder replaces him with Blake's abusive ex-boyfriend. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, you can subscribe, leave a like, or check out another video on the channel. See you next time.